Joining us now on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline is our friend Jacob Padilla from our own Hurrdat Sports. Jacob, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How about you?
What's up, JP?
You know, we're doing pretty good here. Creighton got a win over DePaul. Didn't look great in the first half. A little defensive lapsing that first half against the Blue Demons, but they were able to kick it into gear for the second half. How much of that first half effort do you think was maybe overlooking the opponent? How much of it do you think is, that pink out game's always super emotional? How did you evaluate what went on in that first half where they gave up points to a very bad DePaul team?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. And Max said the same thing. Like you talk about maybe overlooking somebody. He said it didn't seem like that in their preparation. Like the way they approached the lead up to the game was pretty normal, typical. So like typically a lot of time coaches can see if guys are kind of going through the motions or just taking things for granted. And he didn't really see that in the lead up to it. So I don't really know. Like maybe it was kind of the emotions of the day or whatever, just the fact that, I mean, it's DePaul. Like they probably made more plays than Creighton thought they would in the first half.
Sure.
And then they realized, hey, no, we gotta kind of lock up here and be sharper with our positioning on defense and communication and all that sort of thing. And once they did, it was curtains. And the upside is we got to see one of those just ridiculous scoring runs that we had seen earlier in the season where their offense just clicks on every cylinder and they just absolutely bury the other team. And I believe it was 26-4 run after that dunk to start the second half. And then it was ball game at that point.
JP, Baylor Shireman, excuse me. Good Lord. I am all over the map today. He said afterwards,
words are hard.
He said afterwards that the confidence is at an all-time high. And, I mentioned to Ravi right before we came to you before the last break that speaking of somebody with confidence, it seems like Stephen Ashworth is really starting to find his shot, and he's becoming equally responsible for the way Creighton is playing right now. How much do you attribute to the difficulty to blend into the fit of this Creighton offense for Stephen Ashworth early on? And how have you seen him really start to find his true role within this offense over, say, the last 3-4 games?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like making the adjustment is not easy. We saw it with Baylor Sharman last year, what he was at South Dakota State, came here to Creighton, had a completely different role. And for a while there, he was kind of just feeling his way out, trying not to do too much. And then mid-season, you started to see him be a little bit more assertive and figure out, all right, this is what I can do for this team. This is what they need from me. And now this season, after having an off season to really prepare and work on his body and lock in on exactly what the team needed from him, you look at his numbers and they're basically the same or better than what he did his last year at South Dakota State when he was one of the best mid-major players in the country. And now he's doing that at a high major level. So there's definitely an adjustment coming from a lower level to the Big East and then in Creighton's system. And I think it's kind of been a feeling out process for the whole team, particularly with kind of the initiating and with Stephen Ashworth and Trey Alexander and Baylor and who's doing what and kind of who has the ball and all that sort of thing. And I think we've seen Ashworth really settle in on both sides of the ball. And the shot, obviously last game was a really good one, went 5 of 9 from 3. And we saw what that means for Creighton's offense when that starts to happen. They put together that big run in the second half, like I talked about. And part of that were threes falling. And Trey and Steven combined to score the first 19 of those points between the two. And I think Trey created most of the shots that Ashworth hit. So that was what we saw kind of that first game. Obviously Florida A&M or whatever offered no resistance whatsoever. But we saw that kind of chemistry in the flow between the guards and those guys setting each other up for wide open looks and all that sort of thing. And that's kind of what it needs to look like. And hitting shots is part of that. And if that does happen, like if Ashworth gets back to knocking down the wide open shots that he's hit his whole career at a good rate, then this offense is going to become even more dangerous, because I do think Ashworth, obviously the assist turnover ratio is skyrocketed, and he's doing a much better job of kind of setting guys up and figuring out how to make plays for others. And they're keeping Kalkbrenner more involved the last few games. So they found a way to get the offense the kind of balance that it needs to keep teams honest and to make the game easy for everybody. And if Ashworth starts hitting threes on top of that, in addition to what he's doing on defense and setting guys up now, then I think this Creighton team will start to look kind of like what we thought it would heading into the season.
We're talking with Jacob Padilla from Hurrdat Sports. Jacob, you mentioned a couple of guys there that I think are really important to how guys like Stephen Ashworth have been able to play. The first one there was Trey Alexander. After having a little bit of a slump midseason, it seems like he has been in the form that we expected him to be in this year. You mentioned 23 points against DePaul, 7 assists, just 1 turnover, doing a lot of the things we thought he was capable of coming into the season. What have you seen that has allowed Trey to get back on track, or is it just sort of a persistence thing of keep kind of pounding away until he broke through?
Yeah. I mean, you look at just conference games alone, it's at the midway point of the year, he's putting up 18, 6 boards, 5 assists. He's leading them in scoring. After kind of like Baylor Sharman has been that guy throughout the season that's kind of been their rock and their most steady performer with Trey. Being so up and down and teams really game plan and take Kalkbrenner out of it and limit his touches, Baylor's been the guy that's risen to the occasion. And recently, Trey's kind of figured out how to be more what they need. I think a lot of it, he's kind of been more intentional. He's done a better job of dictating offense as opposed to letting teams just kind of bait him into what they want him to do and letting their physicality really kind of disrupt him. He's doing a better job of kind of getting downhill off of screens, being more direct with his drives to the basket. A lot of time we saw kind of him avoiding contact and kind of rounding out drives. And obviously he's not as good going left as he is going right. And teams know that, but he's found a way to do a better job of getting to his spots. Obviously the mid-range is back. That's a huge part of his game. Mm-hmm. And he's been hitting that at a really good rate since that kind of little slump after the first 4 or 5 games or whatever it was, when shots stopped falling for him. So that going down is a big part of it. That's a big part of it. I think we've just seen him do a better job of making the plays that Creighton needs of him and kind of taking what the defense is giving him and helping keep Creighton's offense balanced, like I said.
That's Jacob Padilla from Hurrdat Sports, covers Creighton for us, as well as a ton of high school and other things as well. Jacob, we appreciate your time. I'm sure we will be checking in again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, JP.
That's our guy, Jacob Padilla of Hurrdat Sports. Coming up next, we're going to wrap up the show talking NFL once again. This time it will be with Nate Davis. He covers the NFL for USA Today as we wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.